Hello, my wonderful people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on your time zone or anytime you are coming across my platform, Linda's TV show. If it is your first time and you like what you are watching, kindly subscribe, put on your notification bell to all notification. In that way, you'll be able to know when we upload a new video. YouTube, I want to appreciate you for creating this wonderful platform for us to use to disseminate information. I always put a disclaimer that this platform, Linda's TV show, do not and will not promote violence, hate speech, misleading information, or what have you. We are here to educate, inform the members of the public about the happening, and also to remind YouTube that a call for self-determination is not a call for what? War.
About what is going on in the country, your general perception of what is happening in the country and how government is handling it.
You know, the best way to do an analysis is if it is comparative. How can an analysis be comparative without having a reference? If Kunle did something 5 years ago, and I'm doing the same thing today, so it is easier to say, oh, when Kunle did this, this was how he performed. And therefore somebody can say, within 5 years of what Kunle did and achieved this, I was able to achieve this or did not achieve anything. And I say this because following the exit of the military, the PDP took over this government under the leadership of Obasanjo. What was the priority of Nigeria? We were owing billions and billions of dollars all over the world. And Obasanjo insisted on prioritizing, and that's what they call the debt relief. He visited almost 80 or more countries in this world, and most of the debts were cancelled out. It becomes a major achievement. Formed the EFCC, formed the ICPC. There was honest intention to want to bring this country to some level of control. But whether the institutions will be allowed to perform by those who were manning them, that's a different kettle of fish. So if you look at that background and with what Yar'Adua did in 2.5 years, that was a wonderful period, even though he was very sick. That was also very relevant. Now, I don't like to compare Tinubu with 7 months or 8 months. But if Tinubu had the audacity of purpose to say that he was going to continue from where Buhari stopped, that means he was complicit. All he has told Nigerians that Buhari performed excellently well. That is his word, not mine. I'm not putting anything in his word. That his government was to continue from the good works of Buhari. Nigerians now know better. So why I said this is unfortunate, because you know, Nigeria has become a country of some kind of immaculate deception.
That's a new one.
You know, when you see politicians campaign, it is poetic. Kunle, arrange vote for me. I will give water in your village. I will give light. I will give road. It sounds poetic. And you will foolishly go and say something to support that person. That's the last time you will see him. And every one of them said this. It is immaculate, but it is deceptive, because none of them has been able to achieve that promise they make their people. If there are isolated cases, 1 or 2, it's neither here nor there.
So why do politicians do that?
Immaculate deception. They're immaculate in their promises, but it's so deceptive because they don't carry it out.
So why do politicians do that? You are one of them. Why do politicians tell Nigerians lies?
Why I will not accept your later statement. I joined the Kweme in forming the PDP, went to Jos. It's a story I don't want to repeat, how the presidency was taken away from the Kweme. And that is where we are today. Not that anybody else cannot perform. I've never held any public office, either as commissioner or minister or anything. All I have done in PDP was to be chairman of a screening.
What I mean is that you are a politician.
I know what you understand? Is very simple.
Yes. So
it's simple to the extent that you cannot perform if you don't have something you're holding on. You'll be an observer. Just like when I'm discussing, tell me how you will change a minister who is doing something. You can, if you have the privilege to even see him, how many people have the privilege to see a minister? not to talk of vice president or president or chief of staff. You can't. So if you're not in a position to make a change, you have to be a change maker to make a change. That is the crucial problem we have in this country. And I call it one kind of stochastic terrorism. You know, when you develop this kind of institutional politics or situational politics when it is convenient for you, and then you lead it into, when you have a problem, then it becomes what I call stochastic terrorism, where some people or persons are demonized. And once you demonize them, they want to do what you have demonized them for. This is what is spreading all over the country. Have you seen this government, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, on a 1 or 2 hours lecture to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, telling us 8 years of Buhari, this was what he did. These are the shortcomings. This is how I intend to. If you have seen it, please let me know. If I'm wrong, I apologize. That is what leadership is all about. Whether the person is from your party or not. I have not seen it. And this is why they take decisions without initially verifying how those decisions can be implemented. Like the subsidy. The subsidy is a wonderful thing, if the intention was to make it life a lot easier for the common person. So if the life of the common person is worse than it was a few years back, then it is crisis. And everybody is now complaining. The tragedy, I was listening to one of your interviewers about 4 days ago, I don't want to call any name, and he was almost calling for a coup, without really mentioning that way. And when you see the Sultan of Sokoto, most emirs, obas, chiefs here and there talking, something is going wrong. And it doesn't appear that the government is interested. If the government is interested, you know, I said the last time I appeared there before I traveled, please, and I know you have it in your listing, go and open the killings in Plateau. It is still, people use it in the churches in the southeast, where a child is at the back of his or her mother. I mean, his mother, I don't know whether it's a boy or a girl, waiting to suck milk. And the mother was dead already. And there are 5 other children lying by the side of their mother, waiting to suck milk, to be given food, and they were all dead. And my president was at Owerri doing inauguration of a state election. It shows you the priority we attach to human life, to seriousness of purpose, to governance. There's no magic about governance. That if you pass a road and it is bad, and Kunle, you say, oh, because I'm commissioner for this, if we cannot do 3 roads at the same time, why don't we start with 1? Why don't we start with 1? If you have, there was a time I was proposing, you know, isolated priorities. Water, light, it depends on what you mean by light now, general energy. If you make me president of Nigeria today, my first 4 years, I'll use at least 2 or 3 years to give water. You see, the main principle of survival. Isn't that a shame that in 774 local governments, including your own, including my own, you can't go there and see a tap water unless a privately dug borehole running. So that's why I use the word, you know,
Chief,
some kind of deception.
I recall growing up that taps ran everywhere, in my house, across the streets, and all of that. And it's not just infrastructure that has deteriorated. The food security is gone. There are protests across the country now. There were protests in Ibadan, I think, on Monday.
5 days ago.
About 4 or 5 days ago. Protests in Kano, protests in Mina, everywhere. But these protests haven't spread to the southeast. Why do you think that has not happened in the southeast?
I will only give an answer once. I don't know whether he had come back to work when Uncle or Adora did ask this question. And I said, the southeast is already occupied. How do you want to protect to what? Every inch of the southeast is occupied by the military and the police. And nobody wants to die. Every inch. And in recent time, the herdsmen have taken over all the bushes. So it will be a fool, like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe says. It's only a fool who sees a soldier carrying a gun and you ask him, what can you do? You will end up in the mortuary. Unfortunately, you will not know what he has done because you're no more alive. So that is the answer I will give you to. I don't know what the Ohanese person is talking. They're talking rubbish. Our people are very energetic people that if they have a purpose to protest, they will protest. But there is no basis for it anymore. They are handicapped. And comparatively speaking, they are better than most people in other parts of the country. Because there are a couple of things people in the Southeast do for sustenance of life. And they do it on their own. You know, somebody brings up a container. And if I'm the one who has brought in a container, I'll give you some. Give her some, give all that. You sell and you bring back my main money and take your little profit until you're able to develop the area where you can import your own. You don't see it happen in most parts of the country. We have so much love. And that love, just not because of the Civil War, it's a followership of Emma Yokbara. If you had good leaders, all good leaders have good followership. But unfortunately, in recent times, we don't have good leaders in the Southeast anymore. Unfortunately, we don't have good leaders. So individuals are trying on their own to make do with what they have and sustain their families. And the last thing you will advise them to do is to go and demonstrate. And they will tell you, you must be a fool. Because every inch of the Southeast, you see 10, 20, 50 soldiers at checkpoints. But what is exciting also about this occupation is that these same soldiers tell you that they don't know that these are the Igbos, contrary to the instructions they were given. Because they are overwhelmed with bread and water and a lot of things people are giving them on the road. They will tell you. For me personally, there's no place I pass, there are policemen and soldiers. I don't give them at least 1,000. I don't. For me, it is mandatory. And they will look at you. You know, you almost see tears in their eyes. Say, these are people they told us are very bad people. That everywhere their own people are complaining, they give them these transporters. They will still give them their normal money, either 20 or 15 naira. Still give them water, give them bread.
You call it normal money?
Yes, because they have to collect money. The policemen, I have said this severally, have you had police anywhere deny it?
But
if you see any policeman on duty...
Is it normal?
It is normal in Nigerian police now. It's a way of life. What is normal is a way of life that you don't check, you don't stop. It becomes a way of life. Like corruption is a way of life in Nigeria. It's systemic. If you're not doing it, you're the fool. They say, look at the useless man. What did you get from government? It's your own family people who start saying it. Look at the house this one built. He did this, he did that. Which one did you come back from? And you see yourself being pushed into corruption. You see yourself being pushed into very negative thinking. But if you're a child of God, and you know that man does not depend on bread alone, but from every pronouncement from the word of God, you find out that food alone does not cure anything. Nigerians have not recognized it, that all we're passing through is vanity. And yet it doesn't mean anything to them.
All right, Chief, this protest hasn't gotten to the Southeast yet, and the hope is that it shouldn't, because from the way it is going, it may likely even get to the 36 states of this region if unchecked. But let me ask you what you think about the narrative coming from the government, or those in government quarters who think that some of these protests, even though it's about hunger and poverty and starvation, that they are being sponsored probably by those who lost election in 2023.
Well, if you remember some years back, I think it was another generation, that fuel prices were increased. Both Buhari and his group, they all claimed publicly, organized protests against the increase. They didn't deny it. So for anything that happens in Nigeria that affects the common man, it will be an insensitive government that will be talking of somebody sponsoring it. You're talking about food, hunger and starvation, poverty. So, I mean, happening in Kano, happened in Niger State, now in Ibadan, nobody knows where it's going to lead to next. And they're all saying the same thing. The women, you could see them live. When you see a woman, a market woman talking, you think somebody had put mouth into it. He's telling you that what he's selling, if she does this, she can't buy this. If she does the other one, she can't do this. This is she relating life experiences on a day-to-day basis. And the only thing government can do is to accuse people of sponsoring them and arrest some of them. Isn't that an act of wickedness? That is not governance. That is not human nature. You must have some human touch, some level of empathy that you swore on oath to protect life and property. That is what they swore. Whether they believe in what they were swearing, only God knows. Because I used to say that every day, someday, every man in all forms of leadership, either as a husband, as a wife, you must sit down at a banquet of God to face the consequences of the actions you did or the ones you failed to do. That is what Christians call judgment. Muslims call it judgment. You must be accountable for what you did. So when you look at people moving vehicles, look at the National Assembly, for instance. Can you believe that we should tighten belts when somebody is buying a vehicle of 160 million? I don't know whether they have bought it, and they have not denied they haven't bought. But if indeed each person in the House of Reps buys a vehicle of 160 million naira, and they are telling you and I to tighten our belt, the belt is not strong enough to tighten to anywhere. This is why
do you even have belt anymore?
They don't even have belts to tighten. This is why women are demonstrating. Because social media has become so informative that you don't need to call your mother in the village to tell her. She will even know before you. Because now that you're here, there are things you might not notice is going on in the social media. Your mother will know. Your sister will know. By the time you leave here, they will call your brother. Have you seen what they are saying? Go to this platform and you see what they are saying. Nigerians now are aware of the excesses of those in governance. That is the underlying word. They are aware of the excesses of those in governance. So the level of cynicism and brutality has gone to a different new height. Because once you start to believe, some kind of theories that you cannot really explain, then it might lead you to some level of evil doing. Somebody tells you a cock and bull story. But today now, it's no more cock and bull story. When they tell you somebody stays in the National Assembly, after 2 years, he has about 3 ships. And in your environment where he comes, you know he's building a house. You can't hide building a house. Because if the person comes from your local government, you know he's building a house. He's buying land here and there. He's moving with security people. Even chairman of local government move with 2-3 mobile police. So when you add the number of mobile police people following legislators and people in government, who are going to fight Boko Haram and bandits? You see why the Boko Haram case is escalating? Because most of the people who are also being sympathetic, let me not start supporting them, who are in the police, in the security agencies. Have you seen a big man arrive at a function? You won't believe this is Nigerian police. They are so well dressed, so well fed, that you want to be a policeman. Apart from their salary, some of them are paid 3,000-4,000 naira a day. Some people have them 10, 15. So when you check the number of our legislators across this country, the number of businessmen who offer nothing, they don't even have industries, but because of their own personal protective tendencies, the police will tell you what to write. That Kunle is wanting to kill you. They might not put your son name. One Kunle, they put name that he wants to do this, destroy your factory. You don't have a factory. It's still the Nigerian police that developed this, and they pay hellish of money.
These are weighty allegations.
Yes. No, but I'm telling you what happens. It's not an allegation. I have gone to get police during the 2023 election with the commissioner of police in Enugu. He couldn't even see me because he said I cannot bring out money. They didn't deny it. I had to tell the AIG that sent me to him. I said, no, I needed police to make sure I protect my voting area. And they didn't give me. They didn't give me. All I did was to call the vigilante in my village at Enewe. And I said, please, make sure nobody is hurt. And thereafter, policemen arrived there with politicians. But when they came and saw me, they all disappeared. I was just like this, watching. Let me see what will happen. Whatever you do, we must count it, and you deliver the result. So what I'm saying is that when I opened up with saying that we have, this immaculate deception, everything about Nigeria looks so beautiful. When you watch somebody talking on television, you don't know it's a bundle of dishonesty. bundle of dishonesty, bordering on hatred, that you will give water, you give, and you know you will not do it. You share the money, and millions of Nigerians die as a result of your inaction. Because if you did that road, there will be not, accidents at least will be reduced, if nothing else. If farmers were able to go to their farms, look at what herdsmen have done, Taraba, Plateau, and Benue. Who will go to the farm to farm? Who will go? You would have expected that to be a priority of a government that's 7 or 8 months into office. It is not a priority. The other day you see about Fulani is talking about how they will make peace. They are not condemning what they have been doing. No, how they will make peace with neighboring communities. And after that, they are still killing. So in the southeast, they are talking about, they have filled most of the forests in the southeast. Occasionally you hear of people being killed at Okigwe, Newi, this. You don't go home often. So how do you expect them to demonstrate? That would be a reason to wipe them out. So we have a problem.
All right, so let's look at how government is handling this. You have drawn a comparison, or should I say a link between hardship and insecurity, you know, and let's look at how government is handling it. On the pages of papers today, even though there have been talks against the cash transfer and all that, the government is also saying that it is set to begin cash transfer to about 50 million people as a strategy to also douse the tension. It's also asking that there should be release of grains from, you know, the reserves and all of that. So let's look at how government is handling all of this. What do you think, as a politician as well, if you have someone in government who you want to advise on what to do, particularly at the state level, because that's where the issue is now. The allocation has increased for them after removal of fuel subsidy, but people don't seem to see anything happening in those regions.
You know, I don't know how old, if you were born in early 70s. If you were born, it must be in 1 or 2 years. I left the University of Nigeria in 1973. I was first state of the National Youth Service Corps, served in Northwestern State, Sokoto, and did my primary or whatever assignment at Bida General Hospital. When I came back to Enugu, all my life I had wanted to be a broadcaster. I had wanted to be a broadcaster, and I studied science. I read the first news on NTA in Enugu when Asaka was the administrator.
Should I clap?
There was nothing they did not do to retain me, but I won't tell you the reason why I left and went to IMT to lecture. But why I had to make this reference, that in those days, if you come out at the local government headquarters of Enugu North, you will see 2 or 3 women policemen manning traffic. Kunle, if they catch you, you need, if you're a Muslim, you need to see Muhammad to release you. They must take you to the station. You must bear the consequences of whatever offense you committed. 2, 3 police women. From there, we have gotten series of, you know, bureaucracies. This country has a tendency, once this one first, will form a new bureaucracy. This one first will form a new one. So you have a compilation of bureaucratic processes that have solved nothing. That have solved nothing. So today we have civil defense, we have police, there are so many of them, federal road safety. Now, if you're passing on the highway, you whip for Nigeria, especially the one that is called federal road safety. I have stopped severally to tell them, why, don't you see that the policemen are better than you? There's the minimum amount of money given, but the one that is painful is one of the Nigerian army. Because the transporters will give them 1,000, thinking that they don't have change. He will take the money and go to nearby bush and bring change and give you. Army of Nigeria. That is where we have degenerated. That is where we have degenerated. So it's become systemic. That is why I was listening to, I think Patu tell me so. He was so, I think you people were interviewing him. You can see the anger. You can see the bitterness. Because we can do better. There's no magic about performance. We can do better. If you come to my village, I was not a commissioner. I built a borehole about 20, 25 years ago with 1.5 million. I had not enough money. I just reticulated it to, you know, a point where villagers can come together if there is light and take water. And some who had money moved it straight to inside their compound. I was able to buy a transformer So if there's light, my immediate village will have light. That's the much I could do. If everybody, especially those in government, they should have taken pride. Don't you think that if you're coming to your village and your people are drinking water, they have light, you'll be the happiest man? I don't know how people think. A village where you grew up, at this age, they are still moving 2-3 kilometers to fetch water. Would you call yourself a success if you're a commissioner or a governor? You can't call yourself it. That's what we're talking about, governance. These people have no conscience anymore. You see an old woman, 80 years, 90-something years, early in the morning, she leaves with a bucket to go and fetch water. Because probably she has no other person. Her children have all gone somewhere looking for one thing or the other to do. So what I'm saying is that we have to have a reversal, a thinking reversal, a process, or some form of Nigerianization. Because I remember when Awolowo was saying that you cannot be a good Nigerian without being a good Yoruba man, or a good Igbo man, or a good Hausa man, a good Isha. You have to.
You have to be a good person first.
You have to be a good person first to be able to appreciate the other person.
Okay.
You know, when people were complaining about Igbos did this, I said, I think there was a time some elements, Arewa said, gave Igbos some 3 months to leave the North. On this platform, I gave them the history of what Igbos, with no apologies to anybody, what Igbos have done to other tribes in this country. And I used the case of Ahmadu Bello. That in 1937, he ran for the Sultanate against the grandfather of the present Sultan. And they asked him not to run. And he insisted and ran. And he lost. And they charged him at Guzo Magistrate Court for not paying tax, just to wait to punish him. Whether they were serious in sending him to jail, but I think he knew they were serious. So he ran to 2 Igbos, who were his closest friends in Guzo. Those 2 Igbos came to Kano. As young as my father was then, he hadn't married. Okonkwo Kano, if you must be hearing of Okonkwo Kano in those days, Moneke. 8 Igbos organized and raised £2 in 1937. Went to Lagos, hired a lawyer, went to Anisha, hired one Ebuna, and they came to Magistrate Court to release, discharge Ahmadu Bello. That was the beginning of NCNC NPC alliance. People did not know what love that brought Nnamdi Azikiwe and Ahmadu Bello together because of that singular act. People did it. Igbos built a secondary school early 50s, even before the government of Northern Nigeria started building their own. There was love. Is that love anymore here? Buhari gave a treadmill of rage and hatred in 8 years, and nobody's asking him questions. If you make me the president of this country today, first act on government, he will be at Kuje prison. I will put him in Kuje prison. He has taken Nigeria 20 years back.
What will you be trying him for?
Oh, a lot of things. His government is the most corrupt that ever passed through this country. You people were reading your news about a minister or humanitarian something, how they were signing money. That is the one they tell us. There are so many. You were talking about one Sirika or whatever, who ate the money that was supposed to be used to do something in Katsina, his home state, president's home state. Did he open his mouth? These are the ones they allowed us to know. If somebody can pass away with 100 and something billion naira, we're talking of a former accountant general or something, these are the ones you and I are able to know. How about the ones you don't know? That is why there will be no water. There will be no lights. You know, what is the new Enugu governor? I think he might, in the next couple of months, be one of the best governors in this country. Do you know what was happening in Enugu State? Contractors connive with people in water board and use cement to block water pipe, distribution pipes. So water will never run because tankers are distributing and selling water all over the place. You cannot believe it. You cannot believe it. They use cement and block laid pipes. In the past 6 months, what the governor had done, he used his money to import pipes even before he was running. And they removed all the pipes. You see, they show it on television. You see where they use cement to block pipes so that water cannot pass through. He's now relaying pipes all over Enugu. And water is already running in some strategic areas in Enugu. Can you believe this will happen in 21st century in Igbo land? You don't also know what the problem, whether there are like problems in other parts of this country. That is why I tell you that it is, something of immaculate conception. It's immaculate, but so dishonest that it has nothing to do with Christianity or Islamic faith that gave you principles of hard work, charity, being nice to people. How can you dig a borehole in your village? You can't even put one where people can come to take water if there is light. I'm not saying you must buy gas. You can't buy gas. Now, gas is terrible. I used to buy, 150 liters of gas, and it will last for 3 weeks for me. Now, I have bought 150 liters of gas every 4 days now for 192,000. 1,250 naira a liter. That is what is being sold in Enugu.
As diesel?
Diesel. How many people can afford that? How many people can afford that? And it doesn't mean anything to government. So sometimes when I put light in my compound, I feel worried. I feel worried that people will say...
people are staying in darkness around you,
yes.
And then you're
the only one that light is going on in your place. So what I'm saying, therefore, is there has to be a systemic discussion in this country, whether we want to be or not to be. Because I was asking somebody who knew Govt. I said, thank God that Govt, you're still alive. He made 2 statements in 1966. The first statement was that there was no basis for Nigerian unity. You were not born then. That was his first broadcast, no basis for Nigerian unity, after the coup. Then his group quickly assembled it. The next week, he made a major speech that the basis of Nigerian unity cannot be negotiated. And I was asking him some 2-3 years back, in the plane, when he was doing this national prayer. He was going around the country praying. So, unfortunately for him, he was sitting on 1A and I was sitting on 1B. And I told him whom I was. He almost stopped the plane in the air. I said, Your Excellency, I know you don't recognize me. He said, no, my son. I said, in 1974, you visited Bida, and a huge copper was marching, and you asked them to go and bring out that huge copper. I said, he almost stopped the plane in the air. He couldn't believe it. He turned and looked at me. He said, I remember this. I said, that was the huge copper that you brought out when you were asking, how was I marching this way? I said, I was in Biafra army, that I just finished my high school and entered Biafra army. He said, we'll put you in Nigerian army. I said, I rose to the rank of captain, going to major. He said, we'll give you a lieutenant. I said, no, you must give me my Biafran captain if you want me to remain in Nigeria. Since then I haven't sent him. But what I'm saying that the pronouncements he made were also part of Nigerian problem. He went to Jamaica and told them that our problem was not money, but what to do with money. That's what he wanted as head of state. And that's what was part of why his group overthrew him. That we had so much money, we didn't know what to do with it.
All right. We'll have to leave this discussion here, but thankfully, Gowon has gone to see the president, and after the meeting, he's telling Nigerians to be patient with the president. That is way too early to, pass a vote of no confidence on the administration. But we'll keep watching and see what happens.
When I started, I said,
totally open.
When I started, I said, 8 months, I will not be part of those to condemn Tinubu. No. 8 months is too early. But the only way you can say from the antecedents he's coming from, if he's able to close his eyes on the man who ruined Nigeria called Muhammadu Buhari, then he has a problem.
All right.
All right. Chief Olazi, we have to leave it at that. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us this morning.
It's my pleasure always. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you so much, my wonderful viewers, for watching this video together with me from the beginning to the end. Like I said before, if you like what you see here, if you like what I do, notification bell to all notification. In that way, you'll be able to know when I upload a new video. Share my videos, leave your comments in the comment section constructively. Until I meet your way again in my next video, I still remain your Linda's TV show. Bye-bye.